Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. We are live for a Thursday night live stream. Excited to be back, starting a little bit later, but yet have a couple of interesting articles I want to touch on, and I'm curious to get your thoughts and opinions on it. And so, before I move any further, I want to also acknowledge and welcome any first-time viewers to the community. Feel free to let me know where you're watching from in the chat, and I'll definitely give you a shout out and acknowledge your presence. And so let me see. We got Rowdy Yankee says San Antonio got caught inflating the numbers. Okay, that's not surprising. At this current point, I imagine a lot of states will have some faulty numbers. And so clearly it just shows they're all in on the same game of inciting panic and fear and everything else. So we got Solo here from Western Massachusetts in the building. What's up, everyone? We got Truth or Nothing from Phoenix, Arizona. We got Lamar from Vegas. We got Shirley from Jersey. It's okay to be a star, to be straight, I think. NYC. We got John from San Antonio, Phil and Tom. How's everybody doing? Jay. We got Mary, Roman from Cali. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. So wanted to basically tonight, lay down a couple of foundational topics to cover. And then, as always, curious to get your thoughts as to what else is going on out there that we may have not covered. Alaska Prepper, how you doing, my man? Good to see you in the chat. Let's connect again soon. Curious to see what's going on in your neck of the woods. We got Johnny Deep. Okay, so a couple articles I came across, and one in particular happens to be about the state of Michigan and the current developments or lack thereof in the whole contact tracing sphere. And so I wanted to throw out some questions, get your guys' thoughts and opinions on this, because, of course, everyone's at a different point in their viewpoints on this whole ordeal we're facing. And so no right or wrong, but just curious to find out what the overall majority consensus might be for this live stream here. And so I'm going to share some stuff on the screen here and then open up the phone lines and get your thoughts. Along the way, feel free to just ask questions in the chat. And so what I wanted to start off with is article here out of Michigan is talking about how contact tracing is not going too well. And I'm not surprised. And there's several states having the same issues of people not really wanting to, I guess, call it, snitch or to be an informant or to spill, share their business with other people, regardless of the issues at hand. And so not surprised, but I'm curious to find out what you guys think about that. And if you were one of the individuals that was reached out to, would you be sharing your information, and would you share with the contact tracers your entire prior week's history and who you've interacted with? So just stuff we need to throw out there because it's stuff that people are being confronted with. So I'm going to stop ranting and just open up the screen a little bit. So I typed in contact tracing just to get a better understanding of how it's being labeled. And so here are just some common. So if you haven't noticed, on every website, every social media platform, at the very top, it gives you the official, narrative of what the issue at hand is. With this Corona. No, I gotta come up with another word. But anyway, and so here's some common questions. So I personally never really knew the answer, so I thought I would just share in case you guys have not really dived into it. But what is contact tracing? Give you an idea according to what we're given here definition wise. It says contact tracing is used by health departments to prevent the spread of infectious disease. In general, contact tracing involves identifying people who have infectious disease cases and their contacts and working with them to interrupt disease transmission. So that's the medical definition. So basically, in another sense, become a snitch. That's basically what it boils down to. You're going to share your world with everybody else. I'm curious to find out. Let me know in the chat. Thumbs up, thumbs down. If you had to sit down in front of somebody and lay out your entire last week's agenda and everybody you came in contact with, would you do it? Yes or no? And then it says, what does a contact tracer do? It says tracer needs to quickly locate and talk with patients, assist in arranging for patients to isolate themselves, and work with patients to identify people whom the patients have come in close contact with. And then what else says, from whom contact this tracer? Okay, so everybody got the idea of what the medical definition and everything is that we've been given. And so by show of thumbs up, I'm just curious. And this is one of the things where after watching last night's or reading some of the comments from last night's talk and talking about masks and things of that nature, there's still people in the community that are I'll just say are concerned. I'll leave it at that. And so Of course, some people say it's a hoax, some people say it doesn't. So wherever you stand at, it's something we're dealing with. Okay, we'll deal with it at that. But for you personally, in regards to this contact tracing, I'm curious to find out, what do you guys think? Has anybody out there been contacted, been in close proximity with anyone that has shared their information, and what's that process been like? Because I know one of the biggest issues that in the state of Michigan is that people are not cooperating. And so here's an article I wanted to touch on, and actually came across this last night once the live stream ended. And so it says, as Michigan cases soar, infected residents won't cooperate with tracers. And so that's it's okay. It's a I'm not sure if it's a good or bad, good and or bad thing, because it has a lot of ramifications to it. And one of them is the fact that they're using this in the state of Michigan as a way of saying that it's now time to dial back and go backwards in the phases of closing things down again and forcing people to isolate themselves again. And so they're going to use this current event here of the fact that people are not cooperating, and they're going to use it as a way of saying that we attempted to shut down, we tried our best, but people weren't cooperating, yada, yada, yada. And so I'll share with you a little bit of information here from Michigan, and then I'll check in with you guys. It says, Michigan Chief Medical Executive raised concerns about the problems during a press conference Wednesday. It says contact tracers are only able to reach about 70% of those who test positive within 48 hours of their diagnosis. She said only two-thirds agree to provide information on their contacts. So here we have a situation where people are not cooperating according to what they're expected to do because of this health situation, and sharing their information, and more likely just picking up the phone. People are not picking up the phone, and I'm not surprised personally, because I've talked about commercials that they're playing here in Metro Detroit area, talking about, for the betterment of for the Michigan people, pick up the phone when they call. It never let an emergency go to wait or whatever. So enough of me rant. Let me hear from you guys. I'm curious to find out what you guys think in the chat. Highlight at Rethinking a Dollar. Let me know what you think. And so, thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up if you were to be contacted, you will cooperate and play your part, or however it might be worded. Or are you of the mindset where you personally, you may not answer a number that you don't recognize, and then B, if somebody does come to your house, you may play that that Jehovah's Witness status where you just look out the window if you don't open because you know who's out there. So I'm curious to find out, man. Let me know what you guys think. So I see some thoughts here. It says, Mike, all this chaos from Fauci, Gates, Birx, and company for something that killed 0.04% of the people here in the U.S. Right, but this is coming from the CDC, man. This is supposed to be apart from now a respectable body that's a part of the government. And so the problem is, with all this information coming out as to how it looks like there's a lot of collaborations amongst universities, experts, all these governing bodies, it's causing a lot of people to question everything. So I can understand how people will definitely not truly know what is right from wrong these days, to where they wouldn't bother to even want to share their information, because you don't really know what it's for. And so we got a couple hell no's. It says, how about the MasterCard new tracking procedures? Man, okay. I ain't know nothing about the MasterCard, so let me look that one up. So as we are talking about here, not only, like, even today I had some encounters, some uncomfortable encounters with individuals, reminding me of pulling I had my mask on my chin. They told me put it up here. One time she said put it above your nose. So it definitely struck a nerve. It hit a nerve, I must admit. But because of where I was at, I respected the office hours, whatever, or the office. But yeah. So let me check in MasterCard. Let me look for this MasterCard tracking. What is this all about? MasterCard contact tracking, I think. Let me see what comes up. Because if they taking it to the credit card schemes, that's going to be a whole nother ballpark there. guys to canceling credit cards, you be in contact with someone. Okay, you your credit card now is covered if you or whatever. Okay, so I don't see anything. So let me know what article you or whatever that source is. I'm curious to find out more about that. It says, why would you help design this new world order? Yeah, but it's one of them things where, as we talked about last night, no mask, no service. So it's going to be that fine line of, the mask is the first agenda, first phase. Second is going to be this contact stuff, and then the third one, I already mentioned what that's going to be. So it's playing in sequential order, unfortunately. But I'm curious to find out what you guys think about this. What else you guys said? Nor anyone cooperated with this. Says I nor anyone I know has cooperated with this BS. No new order is here, full effects. It says everything. Thumbs down. Solo. I said I do these trackers. I do these trackers. I do the kids on Halloween. Cut all the lights off and pretend I ain't home. So yeah, as of now, I don't recall anybody reaching out to me or whatnot. Mike said I'm going in tonight. Johnny Deep, I work outside too. Mike, if you feel in line with the sheep, if you feel in line with the sheep, that I don't lie. Yeah, but it's one of the things where and that's that fine line. That's that fine line because everybody will hear, everybody's watching will be confronted with that do or don't. That you're going to need some type of service where you might only be able to have that service rendered if it's of importance to you, if something you need by deciding to comply. And that's just how it goes. So the question is, how far is too far of complying before you say, hey, here's one of the things. Like I saw an article earlier talking about how because of the current environment we're in now, it's making this whole environment here, it's making those that have prepared or preppers ideally look like they're, looking like they were what was it saying? Like, ahead of their time. It basically shined a good light on those who are preppers, as far as not necessarily needing to go into certain stores because they grow their own food and all those type of things. So, yeah. So Lamar says, no mask, no service, no business, no jobs. And so we all have to deal with that. Very true. That is very true. So I wanted to actually share a couple more articles with you, whatever, and also find out, because I'm assuming in your state as well, there might be some articles out there or some situations where states are also experiencing a run-in with not having people to comply. And so here's another article I came across, and this is from a radio station, but the title caught my attention. It says, many young people won't cooperate with contact tracers. And then it gives more of a better description of those young people. It says, contact tracers with the state and local health departments are reporting the younger people, mostly under 30, are refusing to answer, withholding information, or even lying about where they've been in recent weeks. And so, under 30, an overwhelming majority are not answering, they're withholding information, and they're lying. And so, here's that fine line of like, okay, you just don't want to cooperate. So it's not like, they can force you to, or can they? And so that's how far of a line will the health authorities be willing to go and bringing in some type of legislation or some type of over the top some type of legal something or another to make it to where people do have to comply. So this is just, more information out here, what's going on. And so this is in Wisconsin, it looks like, this article here. And so as a result of all this activity out here, it looks like one of the leading jobs out here happen to be investigators or tracers themselves. And so this is here out of Utah, if I'm not mistaken, UT or University of Texas, what it says, UT Health. So I'm thinking it's University of Texas. Yep. So University of Texas Health in San Antonio hiring case investigators for $18 an hour. And so if you have a good portion, I think I saw some numbers now I think I saw like 50 million, some number over 50 million or close to 50 million people unemployed. Now, if you have an opportunity to make this 18, especially if you're probably making less than that or whatever, where this type of employment can be very, very helpful. And so isn't it interesting how the government, or I'm assuming UT Health, I'm assuming it's a private organization, is paying people to go track them, trace them. But this is what's happening in the news here. And I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this. So let me stop ranting. Open up the phone lines. Give me a call. Let's talk. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. You know, what's too far? Is this fact that people are not cooperating is helpful for the majority? Is it harmful? Because as we're going to witness, if majority of the people do not comply and cooperate and satisfy the governing authorities in this regards here, that's going to incentivize them to shut down or to go backwards in all the phases that I'm sure every state has their phases. And so we can actually see ourselves going back in phases. And that's right there, more harm done to the economy amongst everything else. So curious to see or hear what you guys think, as well as whatever else you guys want to talk about. Feel free to let me know. And it says, is it work at home? No, I think with this contact tracing job or case investigator, whatever it might be, it's one of them things where you got to go out. More than likely, probably got to go out. I assume you might have to set up an appointment or something like that. Then go out in the streets and knock on some doors and sit down and do a thorough check as to what they've been up to and who they've talked to. And so a lot of issues with that is most people outside of if they were not heavily impacted by this whole issue and were not forced to have to be in the hospital for any long-term period of time, more than likely they pay it no mind. They're trying to get back to their everyday life if they can. So they're not thinking about who they came in contact with. So imagine trying to sit there and think about, on Monday, I was, let me see what I do Monday. So you got to sit there and actually go back into your database and figure out who you've come in contact with. And, you got to have their information, their number. And so that's all information they want. They want to know the person's name, more than likely, if it's a friend or whatever, and their number. So basically you'll be in a position where you will be asked to give personal information of your, family, friends, colleagues, and people who you interacted with. So is that like an invasion of privacy, or is that does any of that play into this equation here? I'm curious to find out. It says, good morning from Norway. Runner 500. How you doing, my friend? How are things in Norway? What's the situation like there on the ground? You guys locked down full steam ahead, or everything is normal, or what? Let me know. Lamar says, if they track the virus down to the bat in China, they don't need our help slowing the spread. Yeah, and so that's one of the things that's just asking for too much. It'd be too much for us to actually hear them investigating and getting down to the nitty gritty of how this so-called situation arrived in this country, and of course not just have us so-called settle for the idea that it came from a wet market in Wuhan and from a lab. So okay. But that's not to be expected, just like 9/11. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. This is Sean from Albany, New York.
Sean from Albany, New York. What's your thoughts on this issue, my man?
They already have the contact tracing. It's on your Google iPhone maps.
Mm-hmm.
So they already know who you're by, and they're going to wind up leading it into another thing after this. After people don't want to comply, they're going to make people forcefully quarantine because they can track them by their phones. That's my opinion on it. I leave my phone at home when I go out.
Right. So I've seen information like that, and I saw that as a part of Android phones, especially if you go into settings and all stuff like that, you'll see information there, and you supposedly have the option of cutting it on or off, but assuming just fact it's there, it's on their end and off on our side. So definitely. So you think this whole news story about the people not cooperating is a way for them to now say, now we got to take it one step further. We have to now, use your phone, and they'll actually tell us outright, or they're going to continue to play like, they don't know what's going on.
Remember about 18 months ago where they sent that text message out over cell phones to everyone?
Yeah. I remember that. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe you get a message on your phone that says you've been in contact with people that have coronavirus and you're now required to quarantine for 14 days. Like they can just automatically send it out through the database, and who knows, maybe you have to have something eventually where you go in stores and show them your phone. And if it's on there and says you've been in contact, then you can't go in the store.
Ooh, okay. So that's a very likely possibility. So Man, that's some good stuff, man. I appreciate you for sharing that one.
When I go to my car right now, it knows that I'm going to work, and it knows when I'm going to a friend's house that I go over every week at a certain time.
Yeah.
It tells me I go. It tells me on Google Maps. 14 minutes till you get to your friend's house on Fifth Boulevard, and I didn't even tell it I was going there.
So I remember years ago on this show saying how important it will be to have an old school analog flip phone with no smart to it, and so it'd be great right now to have a dumb phone, or pull your SIM out your phone, that type of stuff where you got to go backwards a little bit.
On top of that, your vehicle knows where you are too. My phone knows where my truck is. While I'm at work, it knows where it is, like through the satellite radio technology and OnStar.
So you got a smart truck.
You need to have an old vehicle too.
So you got a smart truck and a smartphone. So yeah, escaping that, man. So that's why it comes in handy to have one of those old cars with the carburetors and the big all metal, all steel cars. So, but yeah, that's something to think about because that's where it's at now. Man, that makes me that definitely opens up the discussion a lot further because you're being tracked whether you are or not. So this all right here makes it look like it's literally just some hot air to put out there until they officially announce what they're going to do because they've already been doing it. So yeah, all right, man. Yeah.
Okay, have a good time.
All right, man. Thanks for the call. Ah, man. So that's different, man. So yeah, and that's, man. So I appreciate that call there. And let me hear from some more of you guys, because this is the type of stuff that, I remember talking about how smartphones in the future will become problematic. And of course, I always knew that, you're being able to be tracked and monitored and surveilled the whole time. And as this technology becomes more advanced, it's going to make it that much harder to shake and jive or whatnot. So, and that's one of the things where I'm a big fan on the concept of trying to keep any type of privacy if you can. Like, it's hard in this day and age, especially if you're staying up to trends, utilizing the best of the best when it comes to technology, and also with your vehicles, because as you mentioned, his truck has also got a GPS and it's tracking them, it's connected to the cloud. And so, yeah, so anywhere you go, whenever you get in your car, starts up, they know. And that's one of the things where that's where this future is heading, man. And the majority of the people have no clue that is the case. It says, so Mr. Johnson says flip phones are going to go for bank all discontinued. Very true. And that's why eBay, I'm assuming has some good flip phones, because I've even threatened my children with going back to old school flip phones. And actually, I still have some. For the most part, I have all of my phones going back to my very first one, where it's an Ericsson, a big, thick, heavy with the long antenna. So I have all my phones. So yeah, I didn't, SIM cards won't work anymore. But yeah. But anyway, what's going on, people? Talk to me. We need more brick Motorola's. Yeah, and so this is not like a little plug or whatever, but I'm just a lot of things that I investigate. I'm a tech head, so I always look for things that have promise or sound like they're entertaining. And one of the projects I'm a part of, or affiliate programs I'm a part of, is the whole Care Bars. And so Care Bars have a little technology side to what they're doing now, and it's touted as being built on privacy. And so one thing I do find beneficial is that I know that all the closed software programs, i.e. iOS or Android or whatever else, they all have backdoors to them. So they're all tracked and traceable in and of itself. But there's some other projects out there that offer some type of hope in having some type of anonymity. So, hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, Tim, Colorado.
How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
Well, first, did low blood pressure call in yet?
He did not call in yet.
Darn it. I got to hear that guy. I love that guy.
What's on your mind, my friend?
He's a crack up. All right, so here's we are, right?
Yeah.
We're in a toilet, and you flushed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're halfway down, and it started spiraling tighter and tighter and faster.
Yeah. I would agree with that one. Very true. Yeah, now go ahead.
You tell me, but every day there's more news in one day, right? than we used to see in what, a month or more. I mean,
yeah. Things, and so here's the thing, but there's so many different events and things happening in different sectors and industries, and we got the political stuff, monetary, financial, technology stuff. So yeah, and it's beyond fully grasping all under one umbrella. But other than knowing that we're all going down the toilet as you just referenced, so it's not fun at all. I don't like
AI. I'm pretty sure AI is in full. They're not. I'm not saying full control, but I mean, I think they've got some serious AI behind this, and they've already mined everything we've ever thought of. Everything, every human being has been mined.
I wouldn't go so far to say that is an impossibility. So yes, I would definitely agree, man.
You're being conservative. Facebook, Twitter. I mean, you know,
oh yeah. So,
it's all started by the government. You know,
and it's all touted as free. All that social media, all that stuff on the internet is free, but really your data is what they've done. They've gathered to build a nice little profile. Everybody has a profile online, and then a lot more than that of your information.
Nothing is free. And by the way, Mark, my wife just said if you want to make sure they can't track you, and it works pretty good. I've checked it out. Mm-hmm. Just take a layer of tinfoil, wrap it around your phone. Mm-hmm. You can't text or anything, but there's no phone calls coming in, so I'm pretty sure they're not tracking. It's like being off. It's better than being off, because when you're off, you're not off. It's still not off.
Yeah.
So there's no way out, buddy.
Yeah.
There's just a higher power, and you're already there, so you're free.
Yeah, but we got to do something to try to slow this down, because as you mentioned, it's picking up speed. We got to slow this thing down a little bit so we can try to inform, educate, prepare, more people at least, because it's not this. Yeah, I just feel like
you're doing a great job at that, Mike.
Say that again?
A fantastic job, and you are extremely intelligent.
I appreciate that, my friend.
So I thank you for your service. You didn't have to, you're not out there killing people that don't look like us. So you just spread the love, okay?
Appreciate you, my friend. All right, Tim, have a good night, man.
All right.
Yep.
All right, love you, bro.
Love you too. Yeah, man, good stuff. I appreciate those kind words there. And so yeah, I saw some stuff about, wearing a pager. Put on a pager. Might get that chain go with Eclipse 2K by year end. Oh, definitely. And so I've been contemplating on doing something in that regards there. I'll keep you posted on that, Mr. Barlight Broker. But I appreciate that love offer to the channel. I saw something about get a track phone and a pager. Can you really get rid of your phone? I wonder what problem that might actually cause if people did that in mass and got prepaid track phones. And so even with prepaid track phones, I think if they even sell those things still, I think you still got to give them your name to register. So, I mean, I want to say you still got to give them something. They want to know who that person is, type of thing. So yeah, that's that's all the type of stuff we're dealing with, man. So for those that are tuning in, we start off tonight talking about how contact tracers are having issues because people are not responding, people are not picking up the phone, people are not cooperating. And so therefore, because they're not cooperating, that just puts more of the power in the orchestrators of this event's hands to further their agenda by saying, now we have to require that, every cell phone carrier in this country, they'll pass some type of legislation saying that as a part of the national security, safety, and something or another, every cell phone carrier has to cooperate, even though we know they do behind the scenes. They pretend like they don't. But they'll say that you're going to have to install an app on your phone or whatever. So however it goes, but that's how bad things look like it's heading towards. Dollar Vigilante channel talks in depth on this issue. Celtic Girl. Yeah, Jeff Burke does a good job of sharing his thoughts. Any phone with Bluetooth is trackable. Yeah, hello RT. So yeah, and that's one of the things where there's certain projects out there that I look into just because it offers a little something. But the biggest thing is trying to find some type of service that does not require you to connect to those mainstream carriers. And as of right now, majority of those, that's the case. Says Mike, to make money and do good on a chain, it has to have weight. Basically, 100 grams is a standard. All right. Do not cooperate with your own destruction. Gold chains like Rona. Help are aware. How are they able to circumvent privacy regulations? At this point, because I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're still in a state of a national emergency, or every state has declared national emergencies and executive orders. So I think all the typical procedures for your rights is on pause. So that's why I think they can roll out some stuff. And as we all seen, there's not much we can really do as the stuff comes out. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's low blood pressure. Corpus Christi.
Corpus Christi in the building. I'm doing good, my friend. How you doing?
Good. I just heard Tim from Colorado. I just want to say hello to him.
Yes, sir. What are your thoughts about the smartphone? Are you going to go back to the dumb phone, or get you a pager to communicate?
I don't know. I never had a beeper. You remember those little pull-out radios out of the car?
Pull out, yeah. Anti-theft. You get out the car, you pull out with you. Yeah, those things gonna be hot commodities now, man. Because people want to be able to. You gotta pull your electronics out your vehicle or leave it at home and go out empty-handed, man.
How to get that car where you pull out the engine, you know?
Yeah. What else going on with you, man?
Not much, man. Mike, and people wearing masks in their cars while they're driving with the windows up. I'm just laughing every time I see it.
Yeah, I at this point, it's become so common for me to see throughout the day that I apart from looking at it, I turn my head, keep going, just because I think more people, and it's always the older demographic that does that. I haven't seen any quote unquote younger people wearing that. But I've seen some people still wearing masks, like walking down the street, like, get some exercise in with a mask on. I'm thinking like, well, damn. But
yeah, but the dog walkers, the dog don't wear a mask, just the walker. What the hell is going on there?
Yeah, I don't know. They want to get the dogs contaminated. So at any moment now, they're gonna start saying that dogs transmit it as well. Keep your dogs inside, and so they can throw anything at us. And because all the experts, all the financial people who do the white papers and all that, investigative work, they all bought and paid for. So they can probably pull out a paper that says dogs are carriers now and cats, and yeah. And people probably, say goodbye to their pets, type of thing.
No, it's crazy, Mike.
Yeah,
Mike, I get to the spiritual side. The only thing that gives life is the only thing that takes life, So I don't worry about these things,
Yeah. Yeah, and those are some encouraging words, because here's one of the issues I've ran into is that I gravitate towards the information that catches my attention first, which happens to be was quote unquote considered bad news, to where over time I forget to refresh and recharge my spiritual bank, to where I sometimes can find myself like, damn, dog, this is just getting ugly, not realizing, what side of the table I'm on and who I serve and things like that. So, but yet I think I need to hear that tonight, my friend. I appreciate you for, reminding me of that. There's some good news out of all this. Just got to make that remind yourself.
Mike, no worries. Live your life. Enjoy it,
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, man.
All right, Mike.
All right, be good. Yeah, you too. Yes, sir. We are back at it, man. So let me hear from you guys. What else is going on here? So we got Spec Streaming says someone will die from a lack of oxygen due to the mask, and it will be counted as that situation. So that's no doubt. So you're doomed if you do, you do it damned if you don't, because if you wear it, you're breathing in your own carbon monoxide, you're killing yourself, you're going to have some respiratory issues. There's actually a story from a couple weeks ago of a young, I think she's a grocery store worker, and she, during the entire lockdown, was working and kept her mask on out of pure fear. She was just keeping it on, and within that couple of weeks, she ended up having some type of medical issue in her lungs, to where she was hospitalized, and it got real bad, and it was as a result of breathing in that same breathing in her own air continuously, recycling that same air unfiltered back into her lungs, gave her some type of issue, and she was damn near on life support type of thing. So that type of story you don't hear about in the mainstream news, unfortunately. It was on some, it was at the story after all types of other stories. Food shortages are no joke that'll test your resolve. Very true. And so, of course, I'm seeing more stuff now. Somebody even mentioned the other day about the second wave of panic buying and stuff like that. So there's more, information coming out now about that, of people anticipating that next lockdown, or if not already been locked down. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's Will, or other known as Cheat Codes, on your chat.
Yes, sir. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing all right, in Delaware. Just want to let you know, everyone in Delaware was wearing their mask when this first started. Mm-hmm. Everybody was wearing their mask. Now I go out, and I feel like no one's wearing their mask. That's why I feel like something is soon. It's about to go on. Something's about to go down soon. But other than that, I wanted to talk about when I first woke up, mm-hmm. and maybe you could elaborate on when you first, realized something was amiss.
Yeah.
But when I first realized, everything wasn't what it seemed, was when a friend of mine, was contemplating, taking his own life. And,
mm-hmm.
I don't say that lightly, but mm-hmm. he was, struggling with everything. And I just wanted to tell him, and, a lot of our friends, spoke about this as well, was that everything is man-made. You mm-hmm. can't compare yourself to something that another man created,
Yeah.
Like you always talk about on your channel, you got to look at, God and everything, but mm-hmm. all this institution and everything is not what you should be judging your life based off. You should be judging your life based off of what makes you happy and, how you want to live it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that really quickly. Maybe you can elaborate on, what, made you start thinking more deeply about things, or, anything like that. But definitely. I just wanted to say that really quickly. Thanks for taking my call.
Appreciate you for calling, man. I'll share that. I'll share my little 2 cents and after we hang up. So I appreciate you calling.
For sure.
Yes, sir. Be good. All right. So, man, I appreciate that call. And so, so my, moment of clarity or awakening happened to be as it was definitely almost 10 years ago now. And I really, I've always been, I've never just bought any story that was thrown out to me. And so even going back to 9/11, I was just, after that happened, I just couldn't take that as being the only option that we were given, that it was, Saddam Hussein and all that stuff like that. I'm thinking like, huh? Like, so I was questioning that. And I really began thinking that there was more to what I learned and was taught throughout my entire schooling years when I saw The Matrix. So back, I think it was 1999, I think it was, I saw The Matrix. And from that point on, I just like, man, like, that movie just was not like just a movie just came out of nowhere. I thought it was a lot of, symbolisms behind real life there. So from that point on, I started questioning everything. So I would always just question everything. And then it wasn't until I stopped, playing sports and got into the workforce and started a couple of, ventures and whatnot, started realizing how lopsided everything was. It wasn't as easy. And just, being a black man in Detroit, it was just, a lot of stuff was, up against me. And I started questioning things and realized that the system was very lopsided in nature. And if you weren't a part of a higher echelon of society, then you were very limited. And so it just made me question even more and dive deeper. Then I came across a lot of people I've interviewed, like the Doug Casey's, the Peter Schiffs, or I didn't interview him, but all the people I start interviewing, I'm like, they're talking about the economy's crumbling, and especially after the Great Recession. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, where this come from? So, yeah, I was questioning earlier on in life. So, I never was one to just buy into what I was told, and that's what I'm struggling with now. Like, one of my biggest struggles amongst all this is being told what to do. Like, when somebody that I don't know tell me something based upon what they believe and what they think is best for them, and they try to impose it on me, that's when it hits a nerve. And that's why I think I do have a breaking point. And that's why I'm concerned about having a second lockdown in Michigan, because, I won't take that lightly, man. Like, I just, because, yeah, that right there, being told what to do, I've never taken orders well. Anyway, but that's just me, man. But I appreciate you calling in and sharing your thoughts. What else you got here? Sure, let me see here. We got a lot of thoughts going on out here. And also, if I missed any comments, let me know. Highlight at Rethinking Dollar so it stands out. If not, I don't know about it. What else we got? Okay, so yeah, so I got some more articles. I've been covering all types of things, but initially talking about how contract tracing is having some issues, and they're going to use that to probably roll out a little bit more. So I think that call for calling and sharing that, because that's definitely where how likely I think it's going to roll out. But on top of that, got some other information here, and so reparations. So as of today, North Carolina, Asheville unanimously approves reparations for slavery. So I'm thinking like, I remember Bob Johnson, a BET billionaire, last month saying that based upon the history and slavery and all that, you know, when everything was at its peak a couple of weeks ago, due to initially the death of or the murder of George Floyd, that's when everything was real hot. Right now, it's relatively, since everybody know now that Black Lives Matters is a bought and paid for, you know, agenda-based organization. People are not as really, you know, as racially charged as they was a couple weeks ago, outside of a couple incidents that happen every now and then. But anyway, so the reparations talk. And so a lot of people in the comments were like, Mike, talk about the reparations. I'm like, well, you know, I don't really think it's, you know, going to really help us much, given the fact that we're at the end of this current monetary system as it's been built. But here's an article here, and in a nutshell, I watched a video on it, and what they're basically saying is that they're not going to be giving out any money, but what they're going to do is basically they wrote an official letter of repentance, or to repent against Asheville's involvement in slavery and how they've treated you know, the African American race and all that stuff like that. And then they're going to make it their objective to invest money into more opportunities for the underprivileged, those that are in underprivileged homes, and, you know, blacks and other things like that. So there's no money being given out. But I'm thinking, like, isn't this interesting how a city such as Asheville, I would imagine their books is probably not that good right now, given the fact that they probably went through shutdown and, you know, they're hurting via tax revenue. But I would imagine this is the first city amongst many to come to follow suit in this whole idea of trying to repent for the prior wrongs done in forever, as well as probably try to, you know, distribute more funds to African American businesses or whatnot and invest into the cities, whatever. But it's one of the things where it's too late, because the system is already coming down. But yeah, so they're going to try to now find some funds or redirect funds into the areas that have suffered the most at a time that the economy is coming to an end, and it will not make any much of a difference at all. But yet it will, for those that don't know how bad the system really is, it'll make them feel better. It'll make them feel like, you know, they're finally acknowledging, and I've even saw a lot of state representatives in Congress, men and women, talk about this is the first step towards admitting and making right some wrongs from before. I'm thinking, like, right now, you know, the funds won't really go far, because if we lock down again, what type of investments can they make into communities? So, but I'm curious to find out what you guys think. And then also, it says Yusuf L, he has a big gold chain as a paralegal jailhouse lawyer. I got to check that out. So I want to get your thoughts on that. And then to take it even further, I came across another story on the same subject matter that I thought was even crazier. And I thought it was a joke at first. So I had to, you know, do a little digging and found that it's, I guess, some legitimate figures they're throwing out there. And so I'll put this on the screen too, because I thought it was a joke, but it's not a joke. And so this is from the World Tribune. Don't know nothing about it. Just came across the subject matter looking at reparations. But it says U.S. Conference of Mayors call for reparations at the cost of $6.2 quadrillion. And so when I saw that, I'm thinking, like, okay, this is definitely some type of joke. They want to just clickbait or something like that. But think about this. And it says the plan calls for reparations to 41 million black people at a cost to taxpayers of 6.2 quadrillion. It says one study suggests a payment of 151 million, 151 million each. Can you say cha-ching? So yeah, and I was like, nah, this is a joke. I'm not even going to bring this up tonight, because I look foolish even mentioning this. But I'm thinking, like, well, somebody took the time to put all this together, so perhaps it might, you know, have something behind it. But $6.2 quadrillion Okay, so I'm like, let me go ahead and dig further. And so there's an actual article out there by the Washington Examiner. And so I take a look to be a little bit more serious and who put this together and where these thoughts probably originated from anyway. But it says mayors back reparations that could cost 6.2 quadrillion or 1.51 million per descendant. And so the study suggests a payment and the study suggests a payment of 151 million each, and the cost to every person would be 18.96 million. And so, could you imagine? Like, first of all, where's the funds coming from? Who knows? But here is actually a letter here. You know what I'm saying, by the mayor of Louisville, Greg Fisher. So, an actual mayor of the city of Louisville decided to pen this, or somebody wrote a form, and it's called Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposals for African Americans Act, HR 40. And so it looks like there's people out there that's really like trying to throw out this type of craziness. What do you think about this? Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. What's up, Mike? It's Nathaniel calling from New York City.
Nathaniel from New York City. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
Since you're on the topic of reparations, I always said that this country won't give Black people reparations until the currency is worth nothing. So that it's kind of like they're looking for a scapegoat. So they'll give reparations, and then they'll say when the currency gets inflated, when prices get inflated, they'll say, "Oh, it's because we gave Black people reparations, and we asked for reparations, and we got it, and look what happened."
Yeah.
So look who gets the blame, not the government, because when it's really them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point, man. They go give it to us and give it to us and then point the finger at us as the reason why. Oh man.
That's all I want to mention.
All right, but man, I appreciate your call there.
All right, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
So the question is, with 6.2 quadrillion being thrown out there, and it equates to 151 million that I guess it says each, 151 million each. How would you spend everybody would be a millionaire? This is literally Zimbabwe style numbers that's being thrown out here. And I wish I had on me. I got my Zimbabwe notes, my billions and trillions. So I've already been a millionaire on paper legally because I got Zimbabwe dollars officially, but I know I never thought, so what are you guys going to buy, man? Like, because you won't be able to buy much initially. So what do you see, you guys? What are you guys going to buy? And I'm sorry for laughing, but this is just, it's just this, yeah. Anyway, it was said people could always get the dodo end of the stick. Oh man, chump change. What is pogged? Chasing the legal tender. What we got going on? I want a half a bar of gold and half of our silver. You can keep your respiration. The caller is probably on point. Well said. It said it's sad but true. Think about how President Trump would spend giving the Black reparations. Yeah, so that's a great point, man. Like, and so this plays right into what I was saying before, how as everything is coming to an end, and it's amazing. Like these people, man. These individuals here, Cory Booker and Sheila Jackson, clearly they have to know the state. They have to know the true state of our economy and the global economy, monetary system in general. They know how bad things really is at this current moment. For them to actually be a part of, or probably even sign off on, or even try to put this before the House or the Senate, shows how much of a, I guess, a game this is to them. Because it's not gonna fly, So where those funds gonna come from? Of course, the Federal Reserve can create whatever they want anytime they want, but then you got, if there was a direct stimulus check deposited or a direct stimulus deposited to everybody's bank account, as it says here, only 41 million people will be getting stimulated, and so imagine having all those zeros in your account. And just the world crumbling at the same time, to where it looks good on paper, it looks good on your app, just like it did in Zimbabwe and Venezuela. You check into your account, you got all them zeros, but when you go to spend those things, you can't find nothing on the shelves. That's how bad things would get. It says, run up the credit cards with food, new tires, and lead. We got Mike from Corpus Christi in the building. How you doing, my friend? So yeah, this is just what's going on, man. And so these are actually political figures. Like, it'd be different if these were just, your everyday Joe Blow on the street, your bloggers is just throwing this stuff out. But when you got politicians, we got mayors signing off on documentations calling this HR 40. Like, HR 40, it won't see the light of day, but they're going to try to put this out there and say that this is, what our country needs right now. And I'm assuming if this was to get even one vote, they'll probably say that's a great second step towards trying to admit that the country was wrong. And yeah, so anyway, all right. So I'm going to move on to the next article, then get ready to dial back. And so as a result of all this, one thing I found very interesting as well is another article that I came across. And so isn't it interesting now? And so we have hedge funds. So this article says, this is as of yesterday, it says Swiss hedge fund to offer clients gold shield against inflation. And so typically, based upon all prior times, hedge funds, money managers, all the type of, people who handle funds for people typically don't really publicize or advertise or allow their members of the board or whatever to float out the idea that they're looking at gold. And then our article also says silver. But yet when you have, and what caught my attention, low blood pressure, reparations are designed to make us fight each other. That's very true, because that definitely would spark a lot of anger in the other 290 million individuals that don't qualify for that 151 million stimulus plan. So yeah, I think that would piss off a lot of people. And then it would definitely cause a civil war instantly, because you got people out there who are already looking for some trouble, and the fact that they're not getting paid either, they're gonna hit the streets and try to kill everybody who's gonna get compensated. So that's bad news, but it is real. So here, I'll end with this here. But what I found to be interesting about this, we had a hedge fund offers clients gold as a shield against inflation, and so the numbers that were thrown out here. So Diego Pereira, who has the $450 million fund, says gold could rise as high as $5,000 an ounce in the next 3 to 5 years from the current price of $1,800. And so just the fact we have a hedge fund manager out there talking about they're offering their clients protection to shield against what's coming lets me know that this news is already old, meaning that all the people who actually knew that 2020 was going to be that year that everything really starts to hit the fan had their goal. All the top, I bet you all this hedge fund's top clients already knew this condition of the economy, and they already had gold in their portfolios, physical and ETFs, years ago. Remind you, I remember talking about 2017 when there was a sudden spike in the acquisition of physical metal. Like, people were dumping the paper stuff in 2017 because they knew what was coming. At the same time, we had the Basel situation, and the same time where the price had took a little dip, and China and Russia were still getting up heavyweight. And so this article, when I saw this, I'm thinking about it, it's probably too late, man, because majority of the clients here, the probably people who are, mid-tier, probably just, a couple million in the bank, they probably, they still can get physical, but they can't get nowhere as much as the top people in this hedge fund already have. So this is an old news story, but it's just interesting how it's a mainstream story on Bloomberg. So yeah, anyway, I thought I would share that. It says gold will easily go over 2K this year. No doubt. And so, what's interesting about that is that I'm seeing more and more commentators and everybody else talking about the 2K mark, and it's $21 for silver because even Trader Steph mentioned $21 of silver is the moment we take off, and then 2K is the moment where things supposed to take off. But that's, if you look at the entire global picture, 2K it would be a true all-time high in Federal Reserve note terms. But if you look at how valuable gold is already in other currencies, they're already at all-time highs in other currencies. So outside of waiting on the last currency to really pop off, which is the Federal Reserve note, I would already say that given the circumstances, gold is already, not nominally yet, but yet already psychologically, trading wise, and all that other stuff already beyond 2000, the way that, banks are still getting their weight up. Everybody's buying it right now. So yeah, only thing is they're, the manipulators of the futures and stuff like that, they're able to get a couple more ounces and tonnage out of this deal before they let that thing go. But yet I'd imagine it's already well beyond 2000 if you look at how much it costs to actually get bulk in your hand. If you want to buy something real heavy, you're going to pay the equivalent of 2000 for an ounce to get it in your possession. So yeah. Let me see here. It says, Mike, do not buy a chain of 3 ounces from eBay in white gold? Yeah, I don't think I will be buying anything from eBay anymore, just because now the quality of fakes is so proficient that I wouldn't trust it anyway. Let me see here. We got Venezuela and Lebanon coming to USA soon. Very true. Lock and load, Moldova. What else we got here? All right, so that looks like that might be it for tonight. So as always, man, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and sharing your thoughts and commenting on what's going on. And so I want to make sure I give a shout out to the Patreons that I have. And if anybody wants to be a contributor to the work and to try to get more live streams up and running and things of that nature, want to contribute, consider being a sponsor of the channel via Patreon. Information for that is beneath. And also for doing such, if you're interested, you'll get a chance to be put on the RTD Wall of Fame, where I have all the other contributors that sponsor the channel. And I want to thank those that are already supporting. So if you go to the very bottom of the main page, click Wall of Fame, you get a chance to see some of the supporters already, because I make sure I acknowledge their contribution to the channel. So we got a couple people here that already contribute. So if you want to become part of that, feel free to do so. Your help is appreciated. But other than that, everybody, it's been great hanging out this Thursday night, late night YouTube stream. Be blessed, and I will attempt to do one tomorrow night. This is my first time doing 4 in a week on time. So tomorrow I can try to go for 5. So just see what we can do. But everybody, be blessed, be safe. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. And I will see you guys later. Peace.